NCIS is by far one of the most popular and most watched shows of all time. It takes us through the lives of the agents on the show while they solve mysteries. It's back with Season 20 as the latest installment in the franchise, and fans just can't get enough scoop on it. Stay tuned as we talk about what has happened in this season so far. First up, how Gibbs's exit has affected McGee's work as Tom E. Gemcity. In the 9th episode of Season 20, Higher Education, Timothy McGee acts distracted when Nick Torres and Knight arrive at work, but later admits he's working on a side project. By reading his works, Knight learns that McGee's a novelist, or the John Grisham of NCIS, as she calls him. Torres asks if Special Agent Tibbs is about to solve another mysterious case. Knight asks in disbelief if he named his main character Tibbs. McGee knows what Knight meant and points out that Gibbs and Tibbs are totally different characters. Torres pitches the idea of a new character all the way to a crime scene, where Dr. Jimmy Palmer overhears it and finds out McGee's planning on writing again. McGee says that he and Delilah are back to doing whatever they were doing before the kids got a little older. Delilah admits that it's heartbreaking to watch him suffer over his novel. McGee says that he's simply having some difficulties getting started. She further said he had barely written a word since Gibbs left for Alaska. McGee was worried that Tom E. Gemcity may have lost his inspiration without Gibbs, but Delilah disagrees and says he merely needs a new muse. Naturally, she was right, and by the end of the show, he had found one. For the first time in months, he stayed up all night writing. He introduced a new lead character, Delana Fleming, since Tibbs had retired, and he's sure that fans will love her just as they loved Tibbs. Next up, Casey Hines figures out the mole at NCIS. Over NCIS's long history, there have been several covert missions. The best part of Season 12 was when Gibbs pretended to be an IT professional and had the rest of the team on the edge of their seats with his funny ruse. The first scene of The Good Fighter saw Casey in a boxing gym, where her trainer told her to quit being so hesitant when she didn't show up for work the next day. Many people thought she'd been taken by a stranger who had talked to her in the parking lot. That wasn't the case, though. Casey had asked for a day off, but things looked even worse when her fingerprints were found on the victim's laptop, which was used in the episode's murder. Casey denied the murder allegations, but insisted on being questioned in the interrogation room, where she flipped the narrative and began asking the questions. She said that the Defense Criminal Investigative Service had hired her to look into NCIS. That's why she insisted that McGee and Alden Parker have a private conversation in here with no outsiders listening in. As a result of her queries, the entire major case response team was finally able to go forward with the homicide investigation. Before the rest of the NCIS team could help, though, she found out that the mole was actually her DCIS handler and immediately arrested her. Casey's undercover mission against her own team was NCIS's first taste of how effective she could be as a field agent if she chose to use it. Moving on, Mark Harmon will not be returning to NCIS. Of course, Mark Harmon's name will immediately spring to mind when most people think of NCIS, and why wouldn't it? Since he played Special Agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs in the JAG Backdoor pilot in 2003, Harmon has been the face of the franchise. He's also had a long history with the NCIS franchise as an executive producer for both the original series and NCIS New Orleans. Mark Harmon's no longer a regular cast member on NCIS, even with his continued appearances in the show's title sequence and a few episodes from Season 19. But it doesn't mean he's completely out. He's still involved with the show in some capacity, as he serves as an executive producer and is not likely to leave that role. Harmon, who had played the role for nearly 2 decades, ended up announcing that he would leave the show in 2021. Thankfully for viewers, Gibbs is still around, and the writers have found clever ways to keep the character's legacy alive through references and cameos. We expect the authors to keep doing this, since Gibbs will always be beloved by the audience and the show's protagonists. There's always the potential that Harmon will reprise his role as Gibbs in a later season, and he hasn't ruled out returning to the program in the future. But the fans should know he'll not be appearing in Season 20. What a bummer. Followed by, will Polly Perrette return for Season 20? Polly Perrette's Abby Shudo hasn't been seen on NCIS since she left on an emotional departure at the end of Season 15. Even though she hasn't appeared on the program in 4 years, Abby's impact is as strong as ever. There are currently no plans to bring Abby back into the action, as Perrette has stated that she'll no longer be performing following the cancellation of her CBS CBS comedy broke after only one season. While Abby's still alive in the NCIS canon, showrunner Steve D. Binder has hinted to TV Line that the former series regular will be mentioned in Season 20. The fourth episode of Season 20 was named Leave No Trace, and it appeared to be the first time Abby was mentioned in a very long time. Although the episode mainly focused on Jessica Knight running into her ex and figuring out whether or not she liked Jimmy Palmer, the fact that Abby's favorite drink, Calf Pow, was mentioned was not lost on viewers. Watchers of NCIS who have caught up over the years know that Abby regularly drank Calf Pow to keep her going through the show's long episodes. Abby's giant mugs of this beverage became instantly recognizable throughout the show. When the name Calf Pow was mentioned, NCIS viewers all over the world went to the internet to express their delight. Regrettably, for fans who were hoping to read Perrette's reaction, she has said nothing about the reference anywhere online. The show has been filled with many surprising moments, but what's in store for us as we move forward? Also, the three-part NCIS crossover. On January 2nd, CBS will air the first of a three-part NCIS crossover event. This is the first time the franchise has ever done anything like this, and it's a great chance to see the actors from the Los Angeles productions interact with those from other shows. It's unclear why, but they've been left in the dark for a substantial portion of the show's run. In the upcoming Episode 10, Too Many Cooks, NCIS agents from Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Hawaii are all in D.C. for a popular professor at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center's retirement party. But things get worse when they're forced to investigate the professor's shocking suicide together. Part 1 of a three-part crossover event, the episode features guest appearances by Chris O'Donnell, LL Cool J, Vanessa Lachey, and Noah Mills of NCIS Los Angeles and NCIS Hawaii. If you're wondering why more characters from the other programs haven't made cameos, it's probably because there are only so many characters that can be part of the overall plot. To be honest, we're just relieved that Sam and Callan will appear at all, given the budget and production constraints CBS is dealing with. Assuming the plot's as solid as it seems on paper, this crossover should be easier to watch than the first one we saw this season. Our main complaint with the premiere crossover was that it forced us to switch to Hawaii to finish up a major plot thread from the flagship. Unlike other events, this one looks to hold its own. Moving on, David McCallum teases Ducky's future in NCIS Season 20. According to Express, a recent interview with McCallum revealed that he only has 2 episodes left on his current contract. So far, in Season 20 of NCIS, he's appeared in only 2 episodes, Unearth and Leave No Trace. Production will continue into the spring, so those last 2 episodes will most likely air in the second half of the season. This in no way implies that McCallum will leave NCIS after Season 20. If CBS renews the show for a 21st season, the actor will likely negotiate and accept new terms, as he has done for each of the previous 20 seasons. When NCIS first started airing 2 decades ago, Ducky was the head medical examiner for the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. He was a key player on Leroy Jethro Gibbs's team, and he showed up in nearly every episode. McCallum remained a regular for the next 15 years, and his chemistry with Gibbs was the show's driving force. But in 2018, he decided to make some major changes. Season after season, the actor's appearances have been cut down to accommodate his age and his wish to spend more time with his family. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on what has happened in Season 20 of NCIS? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.